habit of just blasting by the sort of happy medium, the middle ground, where we sort of need to live. And we've done that in a number of areas. The whole race thing being, one of them. We go from, blacks being second-class citizens to blacks being exploited by the very people who are supposed to be helping them, and young black multimillionaires getting on television every single day talking about this being an institutionally racist nation. Hello?
Exactly, yeah. And it's something that is damaging to black people as well, as Walter Williams has pointed out many times. The fact that they put them on a pedestal is damaging to the black community as well, because it's a condescending thing to do that, isn't it? It's saying you can't achieve this on your own. We're going to set aside quotas for you. We're going to put you on a pedestal.
Well, yeah. I remember when, like, affirmative action came out, for example, and I was about to start applying for colleges and stuff, and jobs and what have you, and it drove me out of my tree that they were setting up this sort of structure that was going to not only, advance, the whole reverse racism, unfairness, that whole deal, but that it was going to wind up in the long term being detrimental to minorities, blacks, women, what have you. And again, it's a different kind of subtle bigotry, but it's bigotry nonetheless.
I grew up in the South, and I see in this reverse racism, the quotas and that sort of thing, I see kind of a hint back to Reconstruction, and I see some parallels to that. It's part of the history that I think that America doesn't really know, and I think that was a key part in the change in the hearts and minds of the white community. I think a lot of them had forgotten what had happened there, and it's like, why do we have these laws here where we're oppressing this group of people? But I think what had happened was essentially what we're seeing happening in Ferguson, where they misdirect the anger from one group to the other. They pit one group against the other. That was, I think, when I look back at Reconstruction, they took a kind of an oppression that was masquerading as a paternalism during slavery, and they misdirected that into an actual hatred of blacks during Reconstruction that I think turned up in these Jim Crow laws. And after a generation where people had lost that history, it's like, we don't really need this anymore. But they always seem to do that. They seem to be able to pit one group against another, and that seems to be the way that they effectively govern, by divide and conquer.
Absolutely. The cultural balkanization is key, and it's not just a racial thing. I mean, they're exploiting ageism, sexism, sexual orientationism, just any sort of subtle difference between subgroups in our American society that they have been able to exploit. They do that, and I believe that this administration has really taken it to another level with regard to that cultural balkanization, and we're seeing that play out right now in Ferguson. The left compromises blacks economically, educationally, all these different ways, and then when something like this Michael Brown thing happens, whether or not it's legitimate, is immaterial in terms of the police brutality angle, but then they point to the name of blacks' pain being white racism.
Yes.
Well, it isn't. It's bad public policy. That's the problem.
And of course, in terms of balkanization, we saw that in heavy handwriting last night with Obama's announcement and the way it was handled, doing it on the anniversary of Mexico's independence, doing it right before the Latin Grammys. And of course, we have no idea how many people are going to be affected by this because it's an entitlement program. We don't know that it's going to be 5 million people, and he's incentivizing illegal immigration because it's the perfect form of balkanization. You not only got cultural differences that you can play up, but of course language differences that they can play up. And of course, they're trying to play up a racial aspect to it as well. We're talking to Eric Rush, the author of Negrophilia. We're going to be right back after the break, and I promise I'm going to give Paul Joseph Watson a chance to jump in and ask you some questions. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
This hour brought to you by CatiArmor.com, your most affordable option for body armor. Packages starting at $195. Go now to CatiArmor.com and get yours. That's CATI Armor.com. Come and take it.
Hi, Ted Anderson with Midas Resources. Is it time to convert paper 401ks and IRAs to solid gold and silver yet? Get our 10 Reasons book free. Call 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Your house is dark, vacant. You must be gone on vacation for a while. Thanks for all the jewelry.
Don't be the next victim of a break-in. Go to faketv.com and discover a device that creates the illusion someone is inside watching TV and makes your home unappealing to would-be thieves.
Don't these people ever leave?
Starting at $24.95, and there's free shipping. Go to faketv.com or ask for it at your local hardware store. Fake TV, the burglar deterrent.
There may be a hidden danger lurking in our homes and surroundings. Without the right equipment, you'll never know it's there. Natural and man-made nuclear radiation can find its way into our living environment, and Maser Instruments are your best line of defense. Unlike lower-cost products, Maser Instruments detects all forms of nuclear radiation, including alpha, beta, gamma, and X-rays. Most products require you manually turn them on for each use, but Maser Instruments are different. They're designed to be always on, just like your smoke alarm, detecting, measuring, and monitoring nuclear radiation. Made in America, Maser Instruments are laboratory grade, EMP resistant, and powered by common 9-volt batteries. Get the details at MaserInstruments.com, spelled M-A-Z-U-R, instruments.com. If you can't reliably measure nuclear radiation, you're not fully prepared. But now you can be at MaserInstruments.com.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with Super Male or Super Female Vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
It's very easy to be a criminal. All you need to burglarize a home is one simple household tool, a pair of scissors. If your home security system can be compromised by a criminal using scissors, then you're making it easy for them. Almost every home security system, even those sold by big-name companies, has a weakness. The phone line. You shell out $1,500, get locked into a long-term contract, and think you're safe. But a burglar can destroy your alarm in seconds with one snip. And when a burglar cuts your phone line, you're defenseless. Simply Safe Home Security is the smarter choice. Built by Harvard engineers, Simply Safe uses a wireless connection to call the cops. Scissors can't cut it, and that means your home stays safe. 24/7 professional monitoring is under $15 a month with no contract. Simply Safe Home Security keeps you safer than the other guys for half the cost. Protect your home with the alarm you can trust. Simply Safe. Go to simplysafedefense.com now for an exclusive 10% offer. That's simplysafedefense.com.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. We have with us Eric Rush, the author of Negrophilia, From Slave Block to Pedestal. We thought it'd be great to have him on to talk about race relations and what has really happened in this country, especially because of what's going on in Ferguson, where we see conscious race baiting and manipulation, divide and conquer strategies that are going on there. And joining us also is Paul Joseph Watson. I got to ask all the questions in the last segment. I'm going to give Paul a chance to ask Mr. Rush a question, but I'm also going to give you a chance to ask questions. We're going to give out our 800 number. It's 800-259-9231. That's 800-259-9231. If you'd like to talk to Mr. Rush with comments or questions, you can call that. that. We'll take that in the next segment. Go ahead, Paul. Do you have a question for Mr. Rush?
Yeah, congratulations on your book, by the way, Eric. I see an overwhelming amount of 5-star reviews on Amazon, which for a obviously contentious subject is quite the achievement. But I wanted to ask you about Obama himself, because we know his upbringing, his mentors, I'm speaking of the likes of Reverend Jeremiah Wright, Bill Ayers, the influence that they had on him. How did that shape Barack Obama's views on race and class in America?
Well, it absolutely had a major effect. I mean, the guy was raised not just, in his adult life, but, from the time that he was fairly young, whichever origins narrative you want to believe, and there are a few of them out there, the common denominator is always a very anti-Western, anti-American, in some cases anti-Christian, anti-Semitic, anti-capitalist, anti all of the things that we sort of grew up as, being taught, most of our worldview as like these things, there's nothing wrong with these things. We don't have a perfect society. As we were talking about in the last segment, we sort of matured as a country and woke up one day and was like, whoa, it's not cool to have these, whole segment of society, like meaning blacks being these, second-class citizens, sort of like they woke up one day and said, hey, this women not voting, that isn't cool either. So, we're not perfect. We're sort of evolving in a way. And so we had these people who sort of, they stick to this idea for whatever their, mental makeup or neurosis or whatever it happens to be, that America is the name of the world's pain. And Obama was suckled on that, basically. So if you look at his early life all the way up through his college, early employment, everything, he was almost exclusively exposed to, mentored by, socialized by, and with people who hated America and the West.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are not familiar with the upbringing of Obama in Indonesia. There's a movie that came out. I didn't know anything really about the Indonesian situation that he grew up in or went to Indonesia shortly afterwards. But there's a movie called The Act of Killing that really sheds a lot of light on that regime there that his adoptive father brought him up in. He was very tightly connected to that regime. And, of course, his mom was there, as many of us believe, as part of the CIA. USAID's openly been a part of the CIA. Her parents were both in the CIA. He grew up in an alien culture, grew up in an authoritarian culture that had just committed mass murder on a gigantic scale. And then he comes back to America and he hangs out with Frank Davis and who's the bomb thrower? We talked about Bill Ayers. Thank you. Yeah, can't remember what. But he hangs out with those guys. He finishes off his education there. I mean, regardless of the photoshopped birth certificate, his origins should have caused people to have great concern about that.
Absolutely, and few people know as well that there were people who were involved in his early life, other than those you have mentioned, who were politically active and interactive, people from the leftist community in the United States who were politically active with the Sukarno regime and all of those guys in Indonesia. In addition to which, you also have to remember that is an Islamic, if not Islamist, society over there.
Yes, and of course, the first time he appeared in public at Georgetown University after the inauguration, he insisted that they cover up all Christian symbols at Georgetown University. Is like, who is this guy? Some kind of a vampire? I don't know, but we're going to be right back. We're going to take your calls for author Eric Rush, Negrophilia. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
We're on the march. The empire's on the run. Alex Jones.